Okay, we're back, and here we are with reveal number 441. It's 1955 S plastic tube roll. I've got the roll sitting right here in front of me. This is what it looks like. I would normally have it so that you could see the coins inside the roll. Take the top off, and this is what the roll looks like from the inside. Really nice red BU roll. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up here on my desk so that I can go through all the rolls, all the coins in the roll, show you each one as we go along, discuss what we see on them, and we will take care of processing them thereafter. It takes about a week to 2 weeks to process your reveals. I think what we're going to do is wait until tomorrow to do the third roll, because I do not have the cards written up for it. That'll take a good 20 to 30 minutes. As I explained to everyone earlier this evening, if you're just now joining us, these little name cards I make for the back end of your flip inserts are usually printed. Right now they're handwritten because I do not have a printer. My printer has decided to toast on me. So here we go with our roll. This one is an RPM, it appears. I do believe this is an RPM. I think could be RPM number 3. It is not number 2. But we will hold these out. We'll identify them later, but this one's got all those die scratches coming down into the 9 and the 5 and the date. So this will be the first RPM for the roll. Oh, I remember the marker of all these die lines in truss, so I know that we've got this one listed. I just don't really recognize which one it is right now. Die crack running across the vest. It's not RPM 2. We'll take it and flip it over and look at the other side. And this appears to have been a roll end coin because it is faded on this side. It's nice and bright on the other side, which means this was the side that was facing the people who were looking at the roll. And then this other side was inside, being protected. Alright, so that one I will put in a spatial place. Coin number 2 now. Carl. Carl's coin looks like this right here. As it appears, this one is not an RPM. We do have a double die to be watching for, which is actually a tripled eyelid. Here is an eyelid here. This one could be the triple. Let me bring it in so it's easy to see. There we go. Move this over just a little bit. Get it focused in just a little bit better. Now we play with the light. Eric, somebody out there, tell me if this is this the tripled eyelid? DDO number 1, or could this be a different one? This is number 1. Okay. So this is DDO number 1, double die obverse number 1 for the 1955 S Lincoln Cent. And so now we know we have them in this roll. We will probably find additional examples. Look down here again and find myself a good marker that I can use to ascertain to myself that I should indeed be looking at the eye. What I see here is small die lines right here inside the vest. That may be what I end up using as my main marker for this. And near the date, I see here's a heavy die line behind the head, but by then I will have already looked at the eye. So that is DDO number 1, which means it's not going to be a double die reverse. These are not known to have double die reverses as well. In fact, the 1955 S issue is not known to have any double die reverses. The first one is not going to be RPM number 5. RPM number 5 is mostly beneath the S and not entangled into the S. Next coin here. And this one, make it a little bit brighter. A little bit easier to see. This one is not an RPM at all. It's not the double die either. So this one, first coin in the roll to be a normal coin. This is coin number 3 now. Very unusual looking little mark on the back of his jacket there. Let's take a look at the reverse. Be sure we're not looking at a first known double die reverse for 1955S. And we are not that lucky. So we put this one in a sleeve and move on. Oh, this one goes to Wanda. I'm sorry. This one goes to Wanda. Now number 4. Penny Hoarder. Penny Hoarder for coin number 4. And this one appears to be RPM number 2, I think. Or is no, this is another. This is another of the same RPM. We're talking about probably number 3. You have those heavy die scratches running southeast above the 9 of the date. Oh, Jim, Angie. Okay, definitely not a double die reverse. We've already seen the reverse on this particular die. No large errors or anything like that to discuss, so I'm just going to keep moving. This one's going to go with coin number 1, so coin number 1 and coin number 4 are the same die. Here's Crispy next, coin number 5. And coin number 5 is... Okay, this is the tripled eyelid, I think. I can see what looks like a die scratch here, and there's a die dot straight across from the S. I believe this is the tripled eyelid, and it is. Tripled eyelid, DDO number 1. Here's your mark on the back of the head just to prove it. We are very quickly establishing exactly what is and is not in this roll. One thing that I do see in this roll is very nice grade coins. These are very high grade coins you will be very pleased with. Quit it. There we go. My dinoscope is, I guess, seeing the end of its days as well. This is another one of the RPMs that we were just looking at. Have once again the die scratches, the heavy die scratches from above the 9. And nothing again on the reverse. I don't want anybody getting upset with me that we're not looking at the reverses. However, when you already know what's on the obverse and you can identify what's on the obverse, you know whether or not there's anything on the reverse on those because, well, would have already been discovered at this point on a known obverse die if you have any double dies on the reverse. So that's why I'm not bothering to really look. This is a different die. This is not either one of the other two. So who knows what this could be except possibly a normal Lincoln cent. It's going to Adam. And turns out to be normal on this side. Let's check the other side just to make sure. And I see nothing there. Now number 8, Kelly Ray. Kelly Ray. Is my sound coming through relatively good quality? I just want to be sure that I've got good sound given the fact that I did have an electrical storm that kind of poofed out about half my equipment. I want to make sure I at least sound okay. die gouge southeast of the S underneath the date. Okay. I will look for that. Now make sure that you know and understand that not always all of the different stages of a die will carry markers through. Sometimes there are markers that are considered temporary markers, ones that can be worn out that you won't have on later stages. Then you have other ones where markers develop during later stages and earlier stages won't show them. It's only permanent markers such as die cracks and breaks, things like that, that cannot be avoided, that if they show up on an earlier stage, they're going to definitely show up on a later stage as well. Yeah, it looks like nothing on this one. Yeah, we had a pretty nasty one come through here too. In fact, I think because I'm due east of you, or pretty much due east, I'm going to get most of the weather that you get only an hour later. Because I know where you are and where I am is not too far away. A couple of hours driving, but as a crow flies, not so far. Here's one for Eric now. Eric, we get this coin. And there is one of our double dice. I can see again a little scratch right here, and I can see this little mark right here that comes due outside the S. I roll up this way, and I can see my doubled eyelid, my tripled eyelid, and then over here I see my little line coming up off the head, and I know I have the same die again. This is actually a very nice coin. This one goes to Eric. That's right, there's 3 of these so far. And we're barely, 10 coins into the roll? We have 3 each of 2 different die varieties and 4 normal coins so far. Mike Birchman. Mr. Mike is next. And Mr. Mike gets a normal coin. This one I know quite well. Bust in the upper and lower. I think somebody once told me that there was something special about this particular die, but I've never seen it. No, not an earthquake. Not that I know of. Far as I know, we have a very minor earthquake once in a great while, but nothing that is especially noteworthy. What we had were electrical storms, not earthquakes, like thunderstorms. Yo man gets coin number 12, and coin number 12 is, well, normal. One point 1.5. 1.5 isn't even detectable by the human, but by human feel. You can't feel a 1.5. That's 1.5 is a strictly geological event. It's a very unusual looking die. Don't forget that we could get the one that has the entire face of the die torn off at the OD of God. We found one of those, or I guess one of those, in a roll one time. I think Crispy ended up with that one. Yeah, it takes at least a 4 on the Richter scale for you to really be able to feel an earthquake. Another one looks like same die again. Maybe not. It looks like a different die altogether. But it's not an RPM. It's not a double die. And those are the die varieties we seek. This is a relatively nice looking coin, though. Oh, look at that. Big old die chip on the reverse there. Big one on this side, too. Nothing else, really. And that is for Carl. Now, number 15. Number 15, Ant. And Ant will pick up. You know, this one appears to be a normal coin. And 16, Mr. Marshall. Not seeing anything here. Nice earlier die state, relatively clean looking coin, but no die varieties. I've seen this die before because it has that little double die gouge down below the L. Little die rim gouges. That was from Mr. Marshall. Next one up, Yeoman, coin number 17. Coin number 17 for Yeoman. All normal. Same die we've seen a couple of coins ago. Had that die gouge inside the RTY of Liberty. Now number 18, Kelly Ray. And Kelly Ray gets I'm not detecting anything right off here. Oh, yeah, this is the double die lid. There it is. Triple die lid here. DDO number 1. I didn't catch that with my usual markers. They are there. I just didn't catch it. This is the marker I caught it by. So knowing things about different parts of the coin is important. Here's your triple die lid. So now there's 4 of them. There's Spike Ted keeping count here. Good, good, good. I love it when people keep count. Helps me out a lot. I can ease my brain up for using it for other things. Stuff like thinking about what kind of alcohol I'm going to put in my Coke tonight. Got nothing there. Hello, Sand Digger. Here's a number 20, Mr. Marshall. Well, that kind of depends, Tim, whether your building is built in a place that has earthquake regs or not. Because the earthquake shock-free buildings are specifically built in places where there are faults that are common for earthquakes. That kind of regulation would not be necessary in Tampa, Florida, for instance, because Tampa is not at all prone to earthquakes. Doing good, Sand Digger. How about you? Here's coin number 21. 21 for Wanda. For those joining late, you will notice, here's one of our RPMs here. Thick S, side to side. Got a little bit of doubling on both serifs, and you've got die scratches running northwest to southeast above the 9 of the date. All these little scratches up here, and we trust as well. For those who are joining us later on, you will notice that all of our name cards are handwritten. The reason for that is an electric storm yesterday basically took out the function of half of my equipment, to include my dyno, my cable box, my printer. Well, my cable box and my printer never woke up from their deep sleep, and my dyno appears to be on the fritz, on its way out. When it goes out, I will not be replacing it. So I'll have to figure something else out. I think this microscope and camera work a lot better than a dyno. I don't think it fried the dyno. It's just the dyno acts really weird, like that right there. It's just acting really strange. I mean, it still gives us a live feed. It's just that sometimes that live feed is kind of jumpy. Another one from Marshall. And that is a behavior I have never seen in my dyno. Got nothing going on there. Move on now to coin number 24, 24, 24, 24 penny hoarder. And penny hoarder gets this right here. Nice clear picture I'm getting out of the microscope. So there is that. You know, it would be a lot easier if I tried doing it after I got these cameras properly set up. Once I get my other cameras properly set up, I will give you guys a tour of what my overall setup looks like and what I do, where I'm sitting and everything. I might even get Austin or my wife to come up and film me while I'm doing the reveals, just so you can see how that works and why sometimes it's a little difficult to get things in focus and whatnot, because I'm actually sitting about 2.5 feet to the left of my microscope. I'm not actually sitting at my microscope at all. Halfway through the roll now, here's coin number 26. Coin number 26 goes to Carl, and Carl gets, you know, the same normal die I've been pulling for the last few coins. Notice those east and west die scratches through the date, and this big heavy one from the R to the T of Liberty have been repeating themselves a bit lately. And so we sit and continue going through coins until we can find something worth talking about. Nice coins, but they're not what we're looking for. This one for Kelly Ray. Kelly Ray's coin is not a double die, and it doesn't appear to be an RPM either. Nice VLDS coin here. This is a good example of what very late die state looks like. Everything looks odd and flat. Yeah, maybe we'll take another tour of the office, do copper coins sometime. That's after I get myself set up from these losses that I have incurred. After I figure out exactly what needs to be done. Here's number 29 now, Adam. Just got a couple of cell phones that I'm going to use as cameras as soon as I can figure out how to do it, because they will be higher quality than the webcams that I've been trying to use. So perhaps next time I come up for an auction, there is some possibility that I'll have some new things set up that'll help us a little bit more. anything to help, right? Especially in times like this. It's like I should be able to get rid of the dyno altogether as soon as I can figure out what I'm doing with these cell cameras, because at present I'm only using the dyno to show you full coins. I'm not really using it for any microscopic views because I prefer to use an actual microscope for that, because the dyno does not do a great job at blowing up coins with good lighting. Yeah, the Copper Coins documentary. In December of 1968, 5 months after the birth of founder Chuck Daughtrey. You want to go back to there? I could do that. No, Mother Nature does not discriminate, and boy, I tell you what, I am certainly nothing special. Nothing special at all. I would expect that exactly what would happen to anyone else could happen to me, as it did. Looky there. This is a pretty one, too. It's got a little bit of a grease struck through there. It's got our markers set pretty well. And there it is. Spiked head? You're falling down on the job, brother. Oh, you want a mini documentary. Okay, you don't want the whole thing. Not the whole shooting match. That's 5. Spiked head got back on the horse and started riding again. Not 5, but that's 6. You got 6 here now. Six of them. This one's going to Carl. I don't know how many Carl's gotten so far. I haven't really looked at the people who've gotten these. I'm only finding them, putting them off to the side. I'm going to go right now and take a quick look because I'm curious. Carl, Crispy, Eric, Kelly Ray, Malcolm, and Carl. Carl has his second one with that coin. Let's try coin number 33. Yeah, 33 this would be for Steven. It is not one of them. It's pretty 1955, but it is not one of them. All right, that's 33. Let's look at 34. Taco John is upside down. I'm going to make Taco John right side up. There we go. Here's Taco John. Let's see what we have here for Taco John. Well, we have the RPM, or no, maybe not an RPM. It looks like an RPM. It's a different RPM, though. I do believe it be an RPM, and this matches... No, maybe not. This looks like a new die for this roll. Yeah, definitely. New die for this roll. Got a die chip below the B. You've got a heavy die gouge. You've got 2 of them actually coming out the back of the jacket. And it appears to be an RPM, especially when you look right up here in the curve. Let's get closer to it. I think it's going to require that for us to really tell much of anything. And make the light a little bit brighter. As you get closer to things, you're actually having to close up the aperture of your camera. When you close up the aperture of your camera, you're letting less light in. As you let less light in, things kind of get covered up a little bit. I'm kind of seeing what looks like maybe a part of an extra serif here and here on the inside of the S, and this might be an extra curve right up here. If that is so, then we have likely a RPM. If this is an RPM, which it does appear to be, we're going to have a marker at some point for a die chip inside the upper part of the 5, because this one has that. It is a retained die chip at this point. But you can see there's actually a crack that goes all the way around this little bit here. That's eventually going to fall out and create a die chip. And then we have these extremely heavy die gouges right here. Got one just behind the shoulder and one behind the coat about halfway up the shoulder. And then we've got this interesting looking little die chip forming on the bottom of the B across to the E. So yeah, something going on here. I'm not exactly sure which die this is, or if it is one even. I have to get a little bit closer to it to be able to tell for sure. But we are definitely going to put this one in a holder for Taco John and set it off to the side so we can take a better look at it at some point later. Here's one from Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher comes up next with this coin. And this one, I don't think this is anything. I was giving it a shot at maybe being something, but it looks like it's just an early die state 1955S with a bunch of scuff going on all around the die, but I don't see any actual doubling. Very deeply punched mint mark. Is that number 10? No, that's not number 10. Steven? No number 10s here. I do know number 10. It's a nice one. Okay, there's the one with the broken S again. But this doesn't have a die variety to follow it. All right, this one's for Steven. 37 now. Malcolm. Mr. Malcolm. There's another one of those. See, I can see what looks like two upper tips right here to what could be an S mint mark. There should be some deep die gouges. Yep. Deep die gouges over here. So this is the same die as Taco John's coin. So I'll set this off to the side. Let Eric take a look at it later and see if he can match it up to anything that's been listed. Now Taco John again. Taco John again. This one's going to turn out to be normal. I know this one because of that heavy die dot down at the bottom of the vest and near the bottom of the shirt. It's got a couple of big die cracks. It's a very late die state. Back of the head is almost gone. That one's for Mr. Taco John. Now number 39. 39 goes to Eric. And Eric now. I think Eric already got this particular die. Not seeing anything there. Yeah, I think he might have already gotten one of these. Somebody got one of them. I know we've seen this die. Nothing here. All right, you have a great night too, Tim. I appreciate you dropping by. Got coin number 40 coming up now from Mr. Birchman. There's one of our doubled eyelids, tripled eyelid actually. DD01. We back out a little bit more. Kind of used to looking at them a little bit more backed out, so we're going to have to adjust as necessary. There we go. All right, Mr. Birchman got one of these. Spike Ted? 7. As of now, thank you, sir. Stanley? Let's see, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, I got 50 coins. Just being sure. Let's see. You know, this one's going to be another normal. We got those 2 die gouges down southeast of the S. 2 little die gouges out there in the field. It's going to make us a normal coin. $42, Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher. Yeah, we're running behind on shows today, so because it's getting late on the East Coast, I am going to move the last reveal to tomorrow. It'll be number 442, the 1961 D roll. I'll move it to tomorrow before the nickel proof pull. We'll do it before the nickel proof pull tomorrow. I don't even know Taco John. I don't have TV, so it's really hard for me to know much of anything about what's going on. I wish I did. But preseason really isn't. I mean, they play the third stringers and stuff. There we go. There is another one of our DDO number 1s. Spike Ted? That would be 8 now. Thank you, sir. 8 of them in this roll. Don't we love it? You find anything, right? And we find goodies. Now, this is another one of our really messed up coins. Unfortunately, not a die variety, but it is interesting. Nonetheless, this one goes to Wanda. Number 45, Mr. Penny Hoarder. What do we got for Penny Hoarder here? Yeah, it's going to be a normal coin. It's going to be one of the normal ones. $46 now. Stanley? Another normal one. Normal, normal, normal. Not normal. Good evening, South Endell. Number 47 now goes to Carl. Well, it would only make sense that Carl would get a third example. Oh, here we go. This one's interesting. This is apparently an RPM with a large chip in the lower part of the 5. This is a different die from any of those we've found so far. And it does appear to be an RPM. That top part of the S right in here is really thick. It's really fat. And it looks like I've got 2 serifs right up here, kind of almost like you would see on RPM number 2. And I have a division in the serif right here. It appears to be an RPM. It is not RPM number 2 because number 2 doesn't have a break in the 5 like that. Number 2 breaks in the upper 5. So there we go. That is for Carl. Carl's getting a lot of goodies out of this roll. Here's coin number 48 now. It goes to Crispy. Carl is done for the day. This one goes to Crispy. Crispy gets one of those too. How about that? Same die. And now for Crispy. $49. Ant. What does Ant pick up? Well, unfortunately, Ant is going to pick up a normal coin. Not one of the RPMs. Not the double die. Last coin in the roll, Mr. Birchman. Let's see what Mr. Mike comes back with here. And the last coin in the roll, drum roll please, is a doubled eyelid. There we go. That's our tripled eyelid. And going out with a bang, there's a bunch of planchet flaw issues going on there. Going out with a bang, Mr. Birchman grabs one of our doubled eyelids. Which was an LDS RPM 4? We talking about the one with the chip in the bottom of the 5? And yes, we have 9 of the die cracks. Okay, so we've got RPM 4 that we know of. We've got DDO 1. Then I think we have RPM 3 and then plus 1. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's RPM 3. It could be 6. But I'm not sure. There is our stack of normal coins. We have a relatively healthy stack there. And then our die varieties. I'm going to keep these in order. I'm going to count the number of coins for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 coins. 17 coins. Die varieties. The DDO1 going to Mike, Angie, Mike again, Carl, Malcolm, Kelly Ray, Eric, Crispy, and Carl again. So there we have it, our 1955S roll. I like this roll from the beginning, and I still like it now. And I think we're going to do pretty well with that 61D roll. But I am out of steam. We're going to do it tomorrow. And we'll be back for that. Plus, the nickel proof pull will occur tomorrow. I'll have to figure out a way to get everything done up in handwriting for everybody. And that's it, boys and girls. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night. And I will be back tomorrow. Be well.